Good afternoon, traders and investors. Will back here with another one. Hope you guys are doing well on a Thursday after the market close. So SPY and QQQ pulling back now for a fourth day in a row, ending red on the day. But we did have some healthy sector rotation in the names of financials and healthcare, which are holding up the SPY for the most part. So in today's video, we're going to go into our major indexes in the technical analysis side, of course, and go over our major tech names. Now, most of the sell-off, guys, in the past 4 days has been from big tech, more specifically your Magnificent Seven, which have pulled back considerably after such tremendous November and December gains. The money is rotating into other sectors of the market, and it is our job to pretty much see if the markets are still healthy, the rotation is still healthy, and if money continues to flow. So without further ado, guys, let's get right into today's video. SPY down 0.32%, QQQ down 0.51% on the day, but decent gains by healthcare and financials here, making our market rotation fairly healthy. Now on the heat map, guys, you will see on the one-day relative, everything pretty much tech still continues to come down. You do have a couple of outliers in the names of Meta, NVIDIA, and AMD retracing to the upside a little bit, but for the most part, another bad day for big tech. And if you take this into consideration, guys, right, let's put it on the 1 week relative performance ever since the start of the new year. You can see where all the red is mostly, right? Major red here in big tech. And if we pull this back on the 1 year performance, well, I pulled this chart up the other day here, guys. Look at why this has happened, right? 1 year relative. That is where all your green was. So this is just money pulling out of your big tech names here and rotating into the rest of the market, namely financials and healthcare have been some of the major beneficiaries of this rotation. So all in all, the market is still quite healthy, guys. It's just the money is rotating out of big gains that we had last year into sectors that have potentially not rallied as hard. So let's get right into our technical analysis, guys. No portfolio update for today. I will save that for tomorrow for the weekly ending close. So let's get right into the gist of things here. So SPY flushing our most recent lows here. 468 was the level to watch. You can see we closed below there right now. So the daily uptrend is now lost by the S&P 500. The bears have now engulfed your most recent leg up, engulfed it to the downside. So now the most likely scenario, guys, off of any bounce here, we're just expecting a lower high into potential lower low continuation for continuation of this weekly consolidation. Bulls still with a lot of space to work with here. If you want to know when the daily bounce is coming, guys, you just got to do some inter time frame analysis here. If the bulls cannot even keep control of the 1 hour time frame here, right, and set an hourly uptrend, well, your daily consolidation in terms of this waterfall drop will simply continue. Bulls not able to set an hourly uptrend at all. Look, they tried it here, rejected, right? They tried it here again, rejected once again, and they tried it ever so slightly right here, almost got it, and once again, flushed to the lows. So until you see some real movement by the bulls here in terms of a confirmed hourly extended uptrend, you will not have your daily bounce underway. So that's just on the 1 hour. So we got to take this on the lower time frame, see when the bulls set the hourly uptrend here. That could then lead you in to another 4 hour bounce in this case as well. You can see the 4 hour chart is kind of oversold at this point on the S&P 500. So it could lead us to believe that the 1 hour bounce is coming. Now, when we do get the bounce, guys, it's crucial to measure the size of the bounce. That's step number 2, right? If for ever which reason we get a very small bounce and get rejected by this 12 EMA that's above us right now, very small bounce and start trending towards our lows, the probabilities do favor the lower low flush by the bears right now. If you get a very high bounce retracing most of the move, then you get a good chance for either the V-shaped recovery to all-time highs or at least the two-step repositioning here and gaining back the daily uptrend. So that's how you guys should look at these things. But as of now, daily chart is currently in control by the bears, but on the weekly, everything is still looking here very good here, guys. Anything pretty much above 450, 454 is just going to be looking for a higher low for weekly trend continuation here. Everything looking very good. We predicted this into the last week of December that we may get this little bit of a pullback. And I'll remind you, the monthly candle formation we're looking for a bit of a doji here, where early in January, we start pulling back a little bit, but then end the month strong. The candle, in my opinion, should probably be looking something like this. We do have CPI next week, which should be a fairly bullish read with inflation coming down once again. And we do have Jerome Powell here coming in at the end of the month for another Fed rate decision. And we also have a slew of big tech earnings that are going to start in about 2 weeks. Financial earnings starting as soon as next week. In my opinion, guys, those should all be fairly bullish catalysts for the market. Big tech is supposed to have a very good year in 2024 in terms of that recovery. Now moving on to QQQ. QQQ leading the way to the downside here after I showed you guys that relatively in terms of the market declines here, most of your pullback has been issued by QQQ right now. QQQ clearly losing the daily uptrend at this point with such a heavy move to the downside. Once again, probabilities do favor on any bounce right now, favor a lower high for potential lower low continuation. The size of the bounce will be key. Bounce still not started by the bulls. No hourly uptrend whatsoever. Need to first set the hourly uptrend. Then you look to the 4-hour time frame. Can the bulls engulf the most recent move down? Then and only then you will have your daily bounce underway. 4-hour time frame on QQQ is still oversold. So our bounce could be coming soon here, guys. It doesn't tend to stay oversold for that long. But once the bounce does happen, I'll remind you, we're just expecting a bounce for a lower high, and then remains to be seen off the size of the bounce. How much can the bulls put up in terms of a fight here, save the double bottom, potentially rally to the upside here? If the bounce is very, very, very weak and start trending back to the lows, your lower low is almost confirmed at that point here, and we will be sending into further weekly consolidation. Weekly consolidation, anything I'll remind you above 383.50-ish is just looking for a weekly higher low for further uptrend continuation here into the end of January and potentially February as well. So still a very healthy dip. Bulls with a lot of space to work with here. Monthly chart is looking very, very healthy as well. So no big red flags in the market, just some very healthy consolidation. And you know there's no major red flags here, guys. If it would be one thing if QQQ, XLF, and XLV were all dropping at the same time for the past 4 days in a row, but that has not been the case. QQQ has been your lead bear to the downside, but XLF has been holding up fairly well. XLV Healthcare has been holding up fairly well as well. That is what's keeping your SPY from really having a fall off a cliff type of scenario right now. So the market rotation is healthy, just important to follow the money and understand why is the money leaving QQQ? Why is it leaving big tech? Well, it's just rotating into other positions that may potentially be undervalued after big tech has had such a tremendous rally. Now, XLF financials, bulls still looking fairly healthy here, guys, right? Still playing defense around our 12 EMA. Daily uptrend is still not lost by the bulls here. Still just looking for a higher low for further trend continuation. We did break the 52-week highs today again, but pulling back ever so slightly into the end of the day. Earnings on financials for the US market will be starting next week here, guys. So this is going to really make or break this chart, right? If for ever which reason financials don't perform too well, we could be expecting a bit of weekly consolidation. If the bulls lose the daily uptrend, set the daily downtrend similar to SPY and QQQ, how they're set up now, well, no problem at all here, guys. The bulls have tons of space on the weekly for a little bit of a retrace. Target this area, 37 down to 36 would be the best bet here. Previous zone of resistance, your moving average is right down here at 36, the 12 EMA on the weekly as well. So any pullback, guys, just for a very, very, very healthy higher low into further trend continuation as well. Now moving on to healthcare here. Healthcare with a very nice day as well, 0.5% to the upside here, and your daily uptrend simply just continues on healthcare right now. Any pullback, as soon as this move is topped out, you can see we are a bit extended on the daily chart here right now. Hourly bulls have not lost the hourly uptrend just yet, but as soon as we start losing the hourly uptrend here and start really losing this 12 EMA on the 4-hour, well, your daily consolidation will be underway at that point. Anything above 132.69, just looking for a daily higher low for further trend continuation. Healthcare bulls looking very, very healthy, even on the weekly here, guys. Pretty much like 10 weeks in a row of upside on healthcare right now. You love to see it after having been muted pretty much for a better part of the past 2 years. Healthcare now starting to finally trend back towards its all-time high area. And if for ever which reason, guys, we lose the series of higher highs and higher lows and set a daily downtrend, well, weekly consolidation will just be underway. Target this area right here, guys, 136 all the way down to about 132.50. That is the sweet spot pretty much. It's been 52-week high resistance in the past all year. So I do believe this is a very likely area for the bulls to pull it back into, accumulate some positions here, and then rise into 2024. 2024 should be very bullish for healthcare as a whole. IWM Russell continuing to lead to the downside as well with our QQQ bulls after such a significant rally here coming off your November lows. You're talking about a 26% rally, which is better than pretty much everything here, right? QQQ only had about 19%. SPY from the lows right here only had about 16%, right? Nothing has rallied as much as IWM. So now IWM leading to the downside in this case right now. So your daily uptrend has obviously been lost by the bulls. The bears have now engulfed this most recent leg. So daily downtrend is highly likely. Any bounce guy is going to be looking for a lower high for potential lower low continuation. Once again, measure the size of the bounce. Obviously, if you get a bounce all the way up here, well, the daily uptrend reversal by the bulls is highly likely. If you only get a tiny little bounce up here before losing your 4-hour, your lower time frames, let's say we get an hourly bounce right here, and then the bears roll over into an hourly downtrend, well, you know that that daily move up is pretty much stopped, heading towards the lows. And if you only get a tiny bounce off of this, guys, and start rolling over towards the lows, you know that the lower lows are highly likely in terms of probabilities wise. We are in for potential daily downtrend continuation. In terms of your weekly setup here, weekly is still looking very, very healthy. Even though we were unable to close much above this area of resistance and use it as support, you can see we're kind of trending right back down under this red box right here, right? Still not able to crack through that area. There's a very big area of support coming up down here, guys. 188 all the way down to pretty much your 182 zone. All your moving averages are down there. And if I had to draw an average of this entire range, the average would pretty much be right in this middle area right here, right where your moving averages are. So I don't believe the bears are going to be able to get through that one easily, even if we do have an extra week of pullback potentially. If we do have an extra week of pullback, I am looking for this position as well. Anything below 185, guys, I will be looking to play the Russell in the form of most likely short puts to buy into the Russell. And of course, I will also probably be starting a TNA position. This is your 3x levered ETF here on the Russell. So we'll be looking to make a play on TNA if we do pull back on the actual Russell here, right into our whole 185 area. That would be pretty much my sweet spot right now that I do believe the bears will not be able to get through too easily right here. Just looking for a weekly higher low for further trend continuation into 2024 with diminishing rates here potentially coming in as early as March and then another one potentially in May. I do believe that the second half of the year for the Russell should be excessively bullish. So now is the time for me to start a little bit of a position on this pullback here. Could be one of their last opportunities potentially in the early year to get the Russell at such low prices if the rest of the year continues to do what I do think it will. Now moving on to the Dow Jones here. Dow Jones also looking fairly healthy, right? Holding flat on the day. On the daily chart, right? We are potentially looking to roll over ever so slightly here, guys. Still playing good defense around the 12 EMA, right? Daily uptrend is still controlled by the bulls. Still just looking for any pullback right now, just for a higher low, anything above 37,060-ish, just looking for a higher low for further trend continuation. But if ever it follows SPY and QQQ and we roll over and lose this, guys, into potential a daily downtrend setup, that's fine. Why is it fine? On the weekly, tons of space here, guys. Previous all-time highs should be used as support currently. So any weekly pullback after this monster 9-10 week rally right now, right? Any pullback, just looking for a weekly higher low for further trend continuation into 2024. Value names are positioned excessively well for 2024 as well. Recession or no recession, rates coming down, value names should be performing fairly well as they have not rallied as significantly as tech has. And a lot of their multiples, guys, are still fairly cheap on a lot of names in the Dow Jones here. So just looking for a little bit of pullback if ever we do lose the time frames here. But so far, so good. The bulls still in control of the daily uptrend here. Just this area is key. 37,060. Keep an eye on that. Now moving on to big tech. So moving on to big tech, Apple first. Apple with another down day. Apple got downgraded again here, guys. So that's pretty much two downgrades of in the course of the week, pretty much due to number one, the litigation against the Apple Watch patent, and number two, worries about potential iPhone sales on the decline. So those were the two things that analysts brought up upon the Apple downgrades here. And you can see Apple's share price has suffered significantly here since pulling back from the all-time high, down pretty much almost 9%, right, from making those new all-time highs earlier back here in the mid-December area, pulling back significantly all the way back, guys, to early November. So that's pretty much 2 months of trading undone in almost just under a week here. So very, very negative price movement by Apple. So the daily bears are in full control at this point. This move down is such a big move down here, guys, that as soon as this move has bottomed out, as soon as you see the 1 hour bulls start taking over the 1 hour and setting your hourly uptrend, well, you know your daily bounce is underway at that point. 4 hour time frame as well. 4 hour is deeply oversold on Apple, so I wouldn't be surprised if that bounce is coming soon, coupled with the fact that we're coming into my sweet zone. This was a very big chop zone as well, so expect the bulls to start playing a bit of defense now in the lower 180s all the way down to 175. So as soon as your hourly chart starts getting a nice little uptrend here, your daily bounce is underway. But with the size of this pullback here, guys, the lower high is all but certain in Apple at this point. So we're just looking for a lower high, and then the size of the bounce will be crucial. Bounce all the way up here to the moving averages. That will be a 60-70% retracement off this dip right here. Then the bulls could be potentially set up to reset the daily uptrend to the upside here. But if you only get a very small bounce, before you lose that hourly uptrend. Let's say hourly uptrend up here, and then we lose it once again to the downside, and the bounce isn't that high and starts trending lower. Well, then guys, you know what the drill is. Lower lows are probably going to continuously be set by Apple bears here. So clear downtrend at this point, just expecting lower high for potential continuation of the downside. This area right here, 189, previous support will now be acting as resistance. You have your moving averages there as well. So look for that zone of confluence for that lower high before potentially trending lower as well. Apple really in a nice position. However, for some long-term share purchases, I've always said if we come back down to between 180 and pretty much 175, you can stretch it all the way down to 170. This is pretty much the target right here. So 180 all the way down to even 170, guys, is a very juicy opportunity for buying Apple for the long term. No red flags for the company. As a long term, their ecosystem is one of the most powerful in the world. In terms of the weekly chart here, right, we have now lost the weekly uptrend as well. The weekly downtrend is not set. Weekly downtrend would be lower high and then lower low. So still not fully in a weekly downtrend by Apple yet, but are quickly approaching my sweet spot in terms of buy positions, right? And we are oversold here, almost oversold on the daily, definitely oversold on the 4-hour here. So this is the type of position right now for Apple where the short put play could be a very juicy opportunity to milk a bit of premium down on these lower levels before expecting that little bit of a bounce here. So very nice premium opportunity for Apple potentially leading into next week. Right, on the monthly as well, monthly Apple just currently sitting in a bit of a tightening range here, and I am looking for the bulls to protect the lower area here, 170, to really tighten this range up this entire duration of consolidation. Apple not with earnings up until pretty much 2 Thursdays from now, right? So keep an eye on Apple earnings for the near future here. In about 2 weeks, we'll get a bit more insight on how the company is doing, hoping to see more and more services margin increase. That's the best line of business for Apple, in my opinion. Now, AMD currently up 0.51% on the day. So AMD stopping the bleeding ever so slightly here after losing the daily uptrend, right? So daily uptrend was set. This was the line in the sand level, 135.53, and the bears flushed it yesterday. Now we are looking for the size of the bounce on AMD. So daily uptrend is lost. Just going to be looking for a lower high for potential lower low continuation with the size of this move down. A lot of these charts and the indexes are the same here, guys. Such a big engulfing move, losing the daily uptrend, looking for a lower high for lower low continuation, right? AMD bounce is not yet underway. Bulls still not quite setting the hourly uptrend. Tomorrow's trading, if they do set it, that will be your hourly uptrend. That's when you know your daily bounce will be underway right here. So keep an eye on the size of the bounce when the bounce happens. If for ever which reason, guys, we just continue plummeting here into tomorrow and into next week, I will potentially be writing some options here. 132 down to 127 is pretty much my sweet spot. You can see it best here on the weekly, right? Previous 52-week resistance, and the weekly uptrend is beautiful at this point, just looking for a weekly higher low into further trend continuation. 2024 going to be a very juicy year for AMD as a whole, guys. So just keep an eye on that. Bull's still very healthy. Monthly time frame is gorgeous. Weekly time frame is gorgeous as well. It's just that the bears have lost short-term daily control now. So we're going to be eyeing some spots for some option writing. Now we've gone to Amazon. Amazon really coming down hard here today, guys. 2.63% to the downside, revisiting our area of consolidation. So I was telling you guys, keep an eye on this zone, 148 all the way down to pretty much 142 should be an area that's not too easy for the bears to break through. Resistance, this entire tightening range right here before the breakout. And now we broke out, and unfortunately, we are now back in the range right here. So Amazon, key level to maintain here, 142.57. It's pretty much the bottom end of a lot of this consolidation zone. So now Amazon, with such a big drop here, daily downtrend is set as soon as we start getting a bounce underway. In order for the bounce to manifest here, guys, keep an eye on your hourly up and down trends, right? Hourly is oversold. Check on the 4-hour. 4 hours oversold. So with the oversold lower time frames, you could be expecting a bounce soon. Bounce would be manifested by an hourly trend change. Hourly trend change means that your daily bounce is underway. Once the daily bounce is underway here, guys, with such a severe price cut, I am just expecting potential lower high compared to this high right here, and then potentially move down to the lows. It's all in the size of the bounce. Obviously, bounce all the way up here. You could reset the daily uptrend, but low bounce using this area as resistance right here, right? Could, and then trend towards the lows, could be setting up for the lower low continuation right here. So bears in control of the daily time frame right now, but on the weekly, we still have a tiny little bit of space here, guys. Weekly uptrend was obviously set by Amazon. Your low level will just be this exact line right here, 142.50. Crucial level. If they do, for ever which reason, lose the weekly uptrend like Apple and come a bit lower here, guys, that's fine. Why? Just go one time frame higher here, guys. Amazon bulls full control of the monthly as well. Monthly support level would be pretty much all the way down here, 134. on Amazon here would still be healthy little pullback here for potential trend continuation into the rest of 2024. So Amazon coming into some juicy buying opportunities here, guys. Anything under 140 is a very good opportunity. I like it. Even if he would lose the weekly uptrend, there's no reason why the bulls can't just retake it into 2 steps here, guys, as they've done several times in the past. Right, just because you lose a temporary weekly uptrend here doesn't mean that the bears have to set up the weekly downtrend right away. They could just lose it and then take a little bit of time and then reset the weekly uptrend right here. A lot of big tech has been doing this pretty much all year. Google did it a couple times, Meta did it a couple times as well. So it wouldn't surprise me here, especially Amazon has great fundamentals. If you can see Amazon with that as well, even if we lose the weekly, I wouldn't be too worried here, guys. Monthly bulls are in full control of this chart, and any dip into the 130s should be a big buying opportunity for myself as well. Moving on to Google down pretty much 1.65% on the day after having a gap up open, sold off essentially everything on Google here today. So Google still battling in this chop zone right here between these 2 yellow lines, right? 140 all the way down to 138 is going to be that area. Bulls kind of losing it here today, right? Closing hard into the end of the day. We'll see if the bears are able to capitalize into tomorrow and set up for a daily downtrend. If you do confirm the daily downtrend right here, well, the weekly consolidation simply just continues, right? Weekly uptrend, now weekly consolidation, anything above 129.88, just going to be looking for a weekly higher low for further trend continuation here. 12 EMA should be a guide on the weekly as well. You can see the bulls did a great job here. Other than this October blip right here, the bulls did a great job of maintaining this 12 EMA ever since your Google lows all the way back in last March, right? So we'll see that level should usually act as pretty good defense. That's around your 136 mark. Bulls still fairly healthy here, guys, but struggling ever so slightly with the rest of big tech and with the rest of tech as a whole. So Google currently in the daily downtrend. We are just going to keep an eye here, guys, on the weekly chart at this point, still just looking for your weekly higher lows. If you want to know when the bounce is going to reverse, we'll keep an eye on the hourly uptrends here. You can see that Google tried to capture it here, but unfortunately today's work was completely undone. 4-hour time frame, not yet oversold as the rest of big tech is, and the daily not even close to being oversold as well. So very possible that Google bulls just lose a bit more ground here, pull back in this wide chop zone. But you guys know Google, for me, guys, Google in the lower 130s is a buy for me. So if we do revisit this whole 130, 134 all the way down to 130 area, I will be adding to a bit of my swing trade position here. Google bulls looking very healthy on the monthly as well too. So this is just a monthly breakout pattern happening right now. Google, I'll remind you guys, all of big tech pretty much coming up with earnings in the next 3 weeks. So we'll see how they deal with that. Moving on to Meta. Meta not looking too bad here today, 0.77% to the upside. So Meta maintaining the daily uptrend as opposed to the rest of big tech we just saw. Meta is still in a daily uptrend here, guys. Anything above 328.65 was just looking for the higher low for further trend continuation potentially. And it's looking like we may have just got it on Monday here with your test of the 26 EMA. So we will see. If you want to see your daily bounce underway, a classic example here, guys, daily retracement and daily bounce underway. Well, look what happened to the hourly trend change, right? Hourly trend change started tightening up here. And now finally today, we have a new hourly trend change to the bulls. So if they maintain that, right, if they keep maintaining that, your daily bounce just continues to be underway. And then we are just looking, since it's not in a daily downtrend and since the bulls have maintained the daily uptrend here, just looking for further price continuation. If for whatever reason we bounce and then fail and then set the daily downtrend, well, Meta will just be looking at further weekly consolidation, guys. At that point, anything above pretty much 314.76, 315 area, just looking for a weekly higher low here for potential price continuation. And still, this area right here, 338, previous resistance, is acting as fairly decent support. You have your 12 EMA right here. Meta hasn't lost this 12 EMA, right, since Mark Zuckerberg turned around the company here early last year with his year of efficiency. So looking very decent on Meta. Meta with one of the best looking bullish charts out of all big tech right now, not gonna lie. Now, Microsoft still stuck in our range. So Microsoft 377 all the way down to 365. If you guys have been watching the channel the last 3 weeks, you know the drill here, guys, right? If we lose this lower end of the range, 364.91, well, your daily downtrend is set. Your weekly downtrend is also set. That would be your first big tech stock in a weekly downtrend if we do lose this setup on Microsoft. And that would just mean that Microsoft is in for a little bit of monthly consolidation if we lose the weekly. Monthly uptrend is beautiful. Any monthly consolidation, weekly and monthly at this point, right, should just be a buying opportunity for long-term investment in investors here. Microsoft does this all the time, guys. You can go back in Microsoft history, right? Rise, rise, rise. 2 months of consolidation, rise. 2 months of consolidation, rise, right? Couple months of sideways consolidation, rise. Same thing, right? It just continues to do this. So, right, have one right here. 4 or 5 months of up, consolidate sideways and down ever so slightly before another move higher, and then now consolidating ever so slightly on the monthly as well. So even if Microsoft loses this lower level, decent buying opportunity for long-term investors, in my opinion. That's the dip on Microsoft I've been waiting for. 355 down to 340 should be the area to watch for that. Previous all-time highs, and now the bulls should be able to use this as support. But all is not lost as of yet, right? Still a tightening range on the daily. They always have the chance of breaking this to the upside, resetting the daily uptrend. Your weekly higher lows would be set at that point, and just looking for the continuation here of this weekly uptrend. So all depends how this range breaks. As I've been saying on the channel, if it breaks bearish, buying opportunity. If it breaks bullish, well, your monthly and weekly uptrends simply just continue as if nothing happened, right? So very best case scenario in both instances for Microsoft here. Microsoft's going to have a very good 2024, guys. So I wouldn't be surprised here if we are presented with a dip opportunity that we get significant gains thereafter in terms of by the end of this year on Microsoft. Now moving on to Netflix. Netflix not looking too bad at all here, guys. Up 1% here today, trying to recover a little bit of the damage done here by the bears. So your daily bounce is underway from this most recent move. We are still just since it's a daily downtrend, still just looking for a lower high for potential lower low continuation on Netflix here. You can see this daily bounce clearly underway. This is what I mean, right? Hourly uptrend set by the bulls. So we'll see how long they can maintain the hourly uptrend. As soon as you lose the hourly uptrend here, your daily bounce is finished at that point, and you just need to measure how high did that bounce get. If we get all the way back up here, the bulls are set up nicely to potentially regain the daily uptrend. If the bounce tops out here and tomorrow ends up red, we start trending towards our lows. Well, unfortunately, lower lows are potentially coming for Netflix right here, right? So from the top to the bottom, you can see the bulls have recovered pretty much 50% of the move. So really can't really tell if the bulls are in a good position to recover this fully, right? You want to see over 70% recapture to really give yourself a high probability of the daily uptrend shift. But the bulls have only recaptured 50% of this most recent move down. So we'll see how Netflix deals with that. But I mean, Netflix isn't looking too bad at all here, guys. The weekly chart is looking fairly decent as well. Weekly uptrend is confirmed, just looking for a weekly higher low. So if the bulls are able to really recapture a lot of this, set the daily uptrend back again, this is your weekly higher low right here, set 462.70, right? If for whatever reason, though, we continue moving to the downside here, this is my sweet spot for Netflix. 450 down to about 425 is the monthly area that I'm looking for a potential retest into previous resistance a lot over the course of last year here. And you do have your moving averages curling up into this spot as well. Very, very sweet spot for Netflix to be adding a few positions for 2024. Netflix should also have a very bullish 2024, expecting very good things in terms of subscriber growth and their new advertising tier that people have really been subscribing to hard for Netflix. So Netflix not looking too bad at all, just a little bit off my sweet spot still, right? So we'll see how the bulls deal with this bounce. Any further consolidation, guys, in my opinion, is just going to be for a buying opportunity. Now moving on to NVIDIA. NVIDIA struggling, still struggling is NVIDIA, right? So daily downtrend is set. Your daily bounce had 2 days of daily bounce at this point. You can see that lower time frames. As soon as you recapture the hourly uptrend, your daily bounce is underway. Bulls still have it. So we'll see, can they continue the hourly move higher and start cutting back more and more into this leg down? Always put the fib on it, right? How much have we recaptured so far? Barely about 38.2%. So if this hourly move tops out here and starts downtrending tomorrow potentially, well, probabilities favor a lower low. The bounce is not high enough to warrant a daily uptrend reversion. It should just be a likely lower low scenario coming at that point, right? So if that ever happens, guys, we're using these moving averages as resistance right now. If we pull back, continue the daily downtrend here, take a look at the weekly, guys. 450 is crucial to maintain this tightening range, right? You really want to see them maintain that tightening range right here, not lose all this ground. If they do, for whatever reason, lose the weekly, then you will be looking here, guys, for further monthly consolidation on NVIDIA, just tightening up of this chart on the monthly. So no red flags on the long term here, guys. It's just if we lose the weekly uptrend here, it just takes that much longer here to reset it. Look what happens when we lost the weekly uptrend here, weekly downtrend. You see how long it takes to reset the weekly uptrend, right? Months almost. So keep an eye. 450 level is going to be absolutely crucial. For whatever which reason, guys, we dip below 450 down to 400. That is where I'm personally looking to make some plays on NVIDIA myself. Now moving on to Tesla. Tesla, another red day here today, but not that bad here, down 0.22%. But daily uptrend is clearly lost at this point, right? So daily uptrend lost, engulfed by the bears at this point, right? Take a look at your lower time frames on Tesla, right? 4-hour chart, not quite as oversold as I'd like to see it, right? Obviously, your 4-hour bears are in full control. Daily bounce is not yet underway. Need to see the hourly uptrend, right? No hourly uptrend in sight for Tesla here. They're trying to do it, but continuously get rejected. So as soon as we do get that hourly uptrend recapture by the bulls, you know that your daily bounce is underway. And then as per usual, as we've just went through on all the indexes and all of big tech here, the size of the bounce is going to be crucial. But with such a big engulfing move down, the lower high is the most probable scenario. Measure the size of the bounce. We're always looking for the lower high, right? The lower high could be up here or it could be down here. The size of the bounce will tell you whether the bulls can recapture this, form a new daily uptrend, or whether we are potentially going on to a daily downtrend in for lower lows. Still currently battling in this whole chop zone right here that we previously had. Line in the sand level, guys, is 228. Why? Because that is your weekly higher low at this point. Still a weekly uptrend on Tesla here, but coming dangerously close now to our 227. Don't want to see the bulls give up too much more than this here, guys, right? You can see that now the bears have recaptured over almost 70% of this move here, guys, and that's not what you want to see. Usually when the bears recapture so much, bulls or bears, 70% retracement on the fib here, guys, means that the bulls will be potentially unlikely, unless earnings are very, very, very good here, guys. It's going to be tough for the bulls to just V-shape this like this. Most likely they will either have to two-step this here or tighten up the range a little bit further before potentially having your breakout here. So over 70% recapture here of your fib just means that a V-shape is unlikely in either direction. At this point, we are looking bullish, of course. And on the monthly here, guys, monthly is not looking too bad here. We wanted to see the monthly breakout by Tesla, but the market, unfortunately, just not giving it to us. So monthly consolidation is still just underway at this point. So really need to see the bulls play a lot of defense here in the lower 230s. For whatever which reason we lose this area, however, and start trending below 230 all the way down to about $200, that is the area where I'm loading the boat for 2024 on Tesla. I do think Tesla's going to have a good year as a whole in 2024, but could just be off to a little bit of a rocky start here. Now, our two last ones, Palantir and PayPal. So Palantir and PayPal here, guys, not looking too bad at all, right? So Palantir as a whole up 1% on the day, but still struggling ever so slightly, right? Bears are in full control of this daily downtrend at this point. Just take an eye on the size of the bounce here, guys. We do have overhead resistance currently 1715-ish, and you also have your moving averages up there. So if ever we do get a little bit of a bounce higher, just expecting a lower high, and then depending on the size of the bounce here, we'll see, can the bulls create enough space to reset a daily uptrend, or will the bears just recapture, can do this daily downtrend here? Your big area of support, guys, is coming up at this point, right? 1550 all the way down to pretty much your lows here of about $14 is going to be that area that I'm looking for on Palantir here. Palantir obviously losing the weekly uptrend as well. Had a beautiful weekly uptrend going here. Just a shame that the bulls lost. This weekly downtrend is now confirmed, which means that monthly consolidation is just continuing on Palantir right here. So perfect opportunity to load up on some shares here in the lower end of the tier of this trending range, that we got here ever since June pretty much. If we do come down here, I will be adding to my Palantir position. As of now here, though, bulls looking to play a little bit of a defense. We do still have a tiny little bit of a gap to be filled here. 1496, right, is the gap filled from last earnings here. So bears currently in control of the daily, weekly, and the monthly is just a tightening range at this point, right? So keep an eye, guys, on the size of this bounce. Hourly uptrend is now recaptured by the bulls. We'll see how long can they maintain this. The better that they maintain this, the more that they can come back up to 1789, the better the chance is of resetting the daily uptrend right here. So your 1 hour time frame should be your guide right now in terms of how long the bounce lasts, and then just see how high has the bounce gotten, okay? Now, PayPal, PayPal was down almost pretty much 57.50 here today, challenging our lower area right here. So I'll just put this on the chart, right? 57.50 is what we're looking for here, right? So the lower end of this area right here, you can see it's acted pretty much as big support in the past, and then acted as resistance a couple times. Resistance here, broke through it, acted as support. So this whole area, right, 60 to about 57.50 is a big area of congestion. So that is why your bulls are currently able to play a little bit of defense here, but I don't like the size of this move down on PayPal at all. We're talking from the highs pretty much about 9.5% of downside here in 4 days. Not what you want to see on PayPal after the stock hasn't been able, as opposed to most other stocks in November, December that had a tremendous rally. PayPal, did have a pretty good rally here, 24, 23, 24%, but not near close to the 30, 40, 50% that other stocks have got. And we're still just trapped in this downtrending channel that we've been in, guys, pretty much for the past year and a half at this point, right? So unfortunately, bulls not able to break out. Do not want to see them lose this line in the sand level right here. Very close to it, right? Don't want to see them lose this 57.50 area. If we lose that here, guys, the bears have a golden opportunity to just reset the daily downtrend into further weekly consolidation at this point, right? And just looking at this point for the weekly higher low to try and set up for a weekly uptrend. So I'd like to see PayPal bulls step in soon to stop the bleeding. If for whatever which reason we do lose this area and take back too much here, guys, it's going to be tough for them to V-shape this without incredible company-specific news or broad market recovery, right? If we do pull back too much here, guys, could just be set up for a potential further tightening range here. PayPal still in a recovery story, but now is the time for action by the bulls here. It's pretty much the last line of defense before you start re-challenging some of these lower levels here. I had very good optimism for PayPal in trying to reset a weekly uptrend here. So we'll see. Can they do it? Or unfortunately, will we just be starting to revisiting the lower areas again, which will just extend this whole downtrend ever so further here until PayPal is able to put out a few quarters of bullish momentum in a row. So PayPal still one of my favorite plays in terms of being undervalued, in terms of underperformance, but unfortunately just not being favorable, getting hit with the rest of tech in the last 4 days. That's pretty much everything I had for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, guys, consider dropping a like. Would really appreciate it. Consider subscribing to the channel as well. If you're new, we would love to have you here. Almost up to 600 subscribers here, guys. I thank each and every one of you for subscribing to the channel. You make this entire journey worth it. And once again, guys, just have no fear. This is the time to be buying the dip on solid companies. And I will be putting out an advanced option strategy here over the weekend. We'll be going over how I select my leap calls and also how I do some premium farming on longer term short put options here, guys. It's a very beautiful strategy that I have put together for you in an overall trending bull market. These are the two strategies that I'll be using to kind of juice my returns over and above what I currently do with the weekly options wheel strategy. So keep an eye for that video. Should be dropping that on Saturday. And tomorrow I have put together a small list of stocks that are very good in terms of a breakout retest here. Little teaser for that. A breakout retest is currently something like Autodesk, right? Where you have a big range here and some beautiful monthly consolidation. Then you get a monthly breakout and potential retest of the range of consolidation. As you see right here, breakout, retest, and then it should be go time. This is a very high probability setup. So I'll be bringing you a lot of different names here tomorrow that have similar setups to that and how I am planning to play them. So as always, as well, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them down below in the comments. Technical analysis, macro, options, stocks, whatever you guys want me to look at, leave it down below in the comments and I'll be happy to answer you. So take care, guys. See you tomorrow on Friday after the close. Peace.